I'm back, and today we're going to take a look through Chapter 3. Chapter 3. Clara, Miss Quiller requests your presence in her room. Hearing my name, I was instantly transported back to the conversation we just shared. My curiosity piqued. The memory of her request, an errand needing my assistance, surfaced in my thoughts. Setting aside the cleaning supplies, I hurried back to Olivia's quarters, recognizing the urgency in her tone and responding with a decisive knock upon the door.
Come in.
Papers still littered the room, testament to the ongoing task of organization that Olivia diligently undertook. The muted words felt like a growing weight in my chest, forcing me to interrupt the symphony of rustling paper and finally make myself known. "Good morning, Mrs. Quiller."
"Ah, Clara, you're here. I thought it might be someone else."
Olivia reached into her arms and retrieved a pair of papers. "These letters note down the symptoms of illness. Please be careful not to lose them." "Certainly, I will be cautious." Olivia confirmed she would call me once the carriage arrived tomorrow, including a map for good measure. Her thoroughness left me speechless, making my worries shared with Edward the previous day seem utterly trivial. I apologize for the urgency, but precision is crucial since Lord will be relying on those medications. So don't forget to obtain the medication directions from the doctor. Yes, I'll ensure to get them. After carefully folding the paper, I tucked it securely into my front pocket. In the midst of my actions, Olivia's voice pierced the air, carrying the weight of a sudden recollection. "By the way, Clara, whispers have reached me of you spending much time with the young lord. Is there any truth to that?" "Oh no, of course not." Though Bruce seemed to buy my act, Olivia's discerning eyes revealed the truth beneath the surface. A skeptical frown creased Olivia's features, communicating her disbelief without a single spoken word. "I had my own suspicions. Now I know where to place them." "Well, I don't blame you. Lord Edward is a wily man." "He seemed innocent." Her words caused me considerable distress, prompting me to attempt a defense. Unfortunately, my discontent failed to elicit any response from Olivia. "And with that innocence of his, he managed to make 13 servants quit their jobs." "Clara, I have a duty to protect the servants, and that includes you. You'll have to keep in mind that everything I say, even if it seems harsh, is to keep you safe." "Understood, ma'am." A sigh escaped my lips as I pushed open the door and stepped out into the hallway. My head throbbed with a dull ache, a physical echo of the turmoil brewing within me. If Edward truly is what Olivia claims, then what has been his motive in engaging with me all this time? But the headache quickly faded, leaving no trace of my present self. Who was I fooling? I was once Lady Jane's fiery maid, a rebel punished tenfold, but forever proud. Or at least, that's who I was before I came here. Being bold in words is simpler than putting it into action. Their recent warnings echoed in my head. "Oh, mostly about your tenure, of course. We've even placed a friendly wager amongst ourselves on just how long you'll last before throwing in the towel. But better watch your step with Lord Edward. No nattering, that's the rule." "Clara, I have a duty to protect the servants, and that includes you." They're essentially telling me to avoid Edward like the plague, but he's not exactly someone I can easily dismiss. Ignoring him altogether is an impossibility. After all, he's my employer. I must say, the suggestion that I simply disregard my employer is quite perplexing. It seems they've lost touch with the realities of the workplace. With a heavy sigh, I continued wiping down the tombstone. The more I think about it, the more I doubt. It's getting way too complicated.
何がそんなに難しいの？
What's getting complicated?
I mean, ah! A gasp escaped my lips as I flung the mopping cloth at Edward. With practiced ease, he snagged it out of the air, as if he'd anticipated my outburst. I hesitated, unsure whether to commend his reflexes, honed after countless days of dodging my impromptu projectiles. Locked in a wordless duel, our eyes met, and Edward's face gradually flushed a deep crimson.
どうしてそんなに人をじっと見るの？
Why are you staring at me like that?
I think my brain has been addled by what people have been saying.
僕が？
By who? Me?
Including you too. Though the blame primarily rested on others' shoulders, I mused inwardly. My gaze remained fixed on Edward's eyes. I peered into his eyes, searching for a trace of the villain they claimed he was. Yet his eyes held no hint of malice, only a tinge of exhaustion. Despite the warnings of others, I could not bring myself to treat Edward with disdain. With a timid glance around, I began narrating the events that had unfolded. My story left Edward's face ashen, his features etched with a profound sense of gravity.
オリビアがそう言ったの？僕が13人を追い出した暴れん坊だと？
Did Olivia really say that about me? That I'm the deranged bastard who forced those 13 people out?
Even though I can't prove it, I'm telling the truth.
まさか。クララ、僕は君を信じている。
I didn't mean to imply you were lying, Clara. I trust your word.
ただ、オリビアがそのような噂を広めたことに少し困惑しているだけだ。
It's just, I'm a bit perplexed as to why Olivia would circulate such rumors about me.
Edward paused, his eyes meeting mine with a steely determination that spoke volumes.
クララ、証明したいことがあるんだ。よかったら今夜、お墓に出てきてくれる？
Clara, there's something that I'd like to show you. Would you be willing to meet me at the mausoleum tonight?
Ooh, a secret meeting at night. Tonight?
君が嫌なら来なくてもいいよ。もうそんなこと言わない。
If this request makes you uncomfortable, just let me know, and I will drop the matter entirely.
The echo of Olivia's disapproval lingered in my mind as a reminder of the trust I had betrayed. Yet Edward's desperate expression pierced through my defenses, making me question my resolve. Should I trust him and break the rules?
We already broke the rules once already. Let's, Rules. Rebellion. Rebellion it is. We're trusting Edward.
If you ask me, the answer is undeniably a resounding yes. In a rather peculiar turn of events, I am convinced that the Edward I encountered was a man of profound authenticity. What can I do for you? Edward's eyes widened in astonishment as he grasped the implication behind my question. His jaw clenched tightly, attempting to suppress a surge of emotion. He then methodically outlined the plan.
12時にここで会おう。
Let us meet here at midnight.
Ooh, the witching hour! In the creepy manor, in the mausoleum. With a gentle press, he placed his pocket watch in my palm, his eyes filled with a silent promise. My fingers traced the contours of the watch's lid, and I nodded in understanding. The task was simple enough. The rules of this manor are not definitive. Despite my transgressions, Olivia's forbearance hints at a measure of flexibility. Perhaps that's why I'm still allowed to remain in this manor, and even converse with Edward once more today. Besides, I could recall the employee handbook's mention of night watchmen. This assured that the corridors posed no true threat. If an unsettling feeling crept into my heart, I could swiftly retreat to the safety of my room. And if, against all odds, my daring escapade failed, I could always resort to begging Lady Jane for her favor once more.
Wait, we had options?
With a reckless glint in my eyes, I met Edward's gaze.
And then we do a quick little time skip. She's back in her room.
and she's going to be sneaking out. With a furtive glance at my pocket watch, I grasped the doorknob, my fingers trembling slightly. But the hinges, generously oiled, yielded to my touch without a single creak, allowing the door to open silently. Door to empty rooms needs to be open, but I'll make an exception this time. The weight of 4 transgressions pressed down on me, each one a stone in my heart. The air crackled with the potential for expulsion, a fearsome storm brewing. However, a defiant spirit, a glimmering candle in the darkness ignited within me. With a weary sigh, I slipped out, the door closing with a final thud, leaving my actions to be judged by the uncertain hand of fate. From the vantage point at the master bedroom window, the mausoleum stood unmissable. This meant its presence dominated the landscape directly opposite the servants' quarters. With the urgency of a fugitive, I sprinted across the first-floor corridor, the feeling of a thief clinging to my skin. My heart pounded in my chest, each footstep echoing in the stillness. Every shadow held the potential danger, and I was primed to vanish into the darkness at a moment's notice. Yet the anticipated encounter never materialized. Really? Haunted manor, at night, no ghosts. The profound silence that shrouded the manor house instilled a sense of unease, making me question the presence of any night watchman altogether. Is anyone here? Oh, that's right. If there is a ghost or something terrible or literally anything, let's make sure they know we're here by asking, is anyone here? With a murmured word barely audible, I stepped out into the courtyard. Ooh, pretty. The stillness of the night was shattered by the sudden intrusion of an orange glow, slowly but steadily approaching. I retreated into the shadows of the trees, peeking cautiously from behind a sturdy trunk. If anyone was bold enough to flout the rules, I reasoned, it could only be Edward. However, as the approaching figure materialized in the moonlight, my heart lurched, and the blood drained from my face, leaving me pale and trembling. Huh? A figure emerged from the darkness, her form obscured by a flowing robe. It was Olivia, her imposing frame barely concealed by the garment. Despite the wind whipping at the lantern in her hand, its flame revealed a captivating aura that transcended the attempt at anonymity. My eyes glued to her every move, I watched her progress with a mixture of trepidation and fascination. That path leads to the annex building. What could possibly be going on in the empty annex building at this late hour? My curiosity simmered, urging me to follow Olivia's footsteps with cautious vigilance. It's a cute little cottage! I thought we were going to meet Edward, but okay. Olivia's pace faltered after a short distance, and she paused before a dilapidated structure. It doesn't look dilapidated. Halfway between the courtyard and the imposing annex building, I had caught a glimpse of it earlier. The cabin appeared ready to crumble at any moment. I beg to differ. Its weathered timbers groaning under the weight of neglect. Does not look neglected. It looks cozy. Olivia, however, seemed unfazed by its precarious state. With a practiced hand, she opened the door and slipped inside. As the door creaked shut, I carefully approached and gave the knob a gentle turn. You are following her inside a tiny cap? Okay. Apparently you want to get caught. Of course, she wouldn't leave it unlocked. It was locked behind her, okay? Something of immense significance must have been concealed within those walls, evident in the deliberate act of securing the door at that unsettling hour. So Olivia's got secrets. We kind of knew that. But she's got more than maybe we thought. Neat. My mind raced with possibilities, an urge to unravel the truth, but then the weight of my initial business came crashing down, leaving me no choice but to turn away, a frustrated sigh escaping my lips. Well, she is the housekeeper, so I guess working overnight wouldn't be entirely unexpected. If she had to sneak around like that in the middle of the night, it must have been way more urgent than I first thought. I attempted to rationalize her actions, justifying them in my mind, as I turned and walked away, yet the weight of my concern remained, manifesting in the heaviness of my steps. Reaching the mausoleum, I found Edward leaning against the cold stone, his eyes closed in contemplation. Bathed in the soft moonlight, he seemed unaware of his hair glowing an ethereal blue, its color intensified by the night. This gave him an air of quiet mystique. "My lord, I'm here." The sound of my call reached him, drawing his eyes open gradually. A gentle smile like the first rays of dawn spread across his face.
よく来てくれたね。大変じゃなかった?
Ah, Clara, I'm pleased you're here. Did you have any trouble getting here?
Not at all. I'm a regular here by now.
そう?よかったね。迎えに行くことができなくて心配だったんだ。
That's a relief to hear. I was concerned, for I couldn't come for you myself.
He gathered the blanket that had been resting on his lap.
話が長くなりそうだから準備したよ。
Knowing my stories can run a bit long, I thought you might appreciate this.
I'm all right. I'm not feeling the chill too much. Aw, he brought the blanket for Clara. I extended my hand with haste, hoping to convince him of the mild temperature, but Edward didn't seem to believe me. No, I really mean it, my lord. You should put the blanket on. Edward's hand appeared, palm open and inviting, his fingers outstretched like a bridge waiting to be crossed. I locked my eyes with him, then intertwined our fingers. Oh, how bold! He slowly pulled me closer, the warmth of his touch radiating through my palm. He led me to the seat beside him, his gentle tug a silent command to join him.
これはどう?こうすれば二人ともかけられるけど。
How is this? This way we can both be covered.
Aw, we sharing a blanket. Edward was draping the blanket over our shoulders when his hands stilled, the blanket suspended in midair. A gasp escaped his lips, not from exertion, but from the sudden awareness of our proximity. The warmth of his presence intensified under the shared blanket, and I turned to look at him, drawn in by his nearness.
You guys gonna kiss? Anybody?
The silence stretched, thick and heavy, until Edward, like a rusty wind-up toy, began to turn his head. His cheeks, flushed with a rosy glow, were visible in the moonlight's soft luminescence.
あ、ごめん。近すぎた。
I'm sorry, Clara. I was too close, wasn't I?
It's all right. You were just trying to be thoughtful.
Oh, we're doing this song and dance. Okay, we got two very shy couple people. Okay, gotcha.
気まずかったら立ってもいいよ。いや、僕が立った方がいいね。
You may rise if you find it. No, wait. Perhaps I should rise instead.
What? I'm perfectly fine, my lord. Please, remain seated. My attempt to rise from the ground became a comedic spectacle as my feet tangled in the treacherous depths of the blanket.
I also don't know if you can tell, but there's been a couple more sound effects lately. Very, very nice sound design.
Edward, the unwitting participant in my impromptu performance, attempted to regain his balance, but our efforts were doomed to failure. We rolled across the floor in a flurry of limbs. When we finally came to a stop, our faces were only a few inches apart. I couldn't help but laugh at the ridiculousness of the blanket engulfing us like a playful octopus.
What an image.
Edward, caught in the unexpected turn of events, soon joined in, our laughter filling the night with joy and a touch of self-deprecating humor. After a while, breathless and grinning, we untangled ourselves and continued our conversation, the memory of our shared clumsiness forever etched in our minds.
大丈夫?
Are you all right?
I laughed so hard I can hardly stand up straight.
実は僕も。
Actually, me too, I confess.
The seriousness of our intended conversation was swept away by the wave of embarrassment. In its wake, a lighter atmosphere emerged, filled with playful laughter. This shift in mood allowed me to reframe my question, infusing it with a touch of humor that mirrored the newfound ease we now shared. Well, now that the air is clear, perhaps you'd like to share what brings you here tonight.
二人で気楽に話がしたかったんだ。
There's a matter I wish to discuss with you, privately.
Oh, is it about you and Clara getting married? The day felt suffocating, filled with the weight of countless eyes watching our every move. The persistent scrutiny of other servants made it difficult for Edward and me to find a comfortable space for a private conversation. Edward gave a hefty sigh and pushed himself into a seated position.
君が僕を信頼しているのか知りたかったし。
And lastly, I needed reassurance, the certainty that you trusted me.
Without question, I trust you, my lord.
今は僕もそう思っている。
Thank you, Clara. Everything is now perfectly clear.
The rigidity of his features softened, replaced by an expression that spoke of ease and comfort. The seriousness that had once clouded his eyes was now replaced by a spark of youthful spirit. This wasn't a setback, but a revelation. It warmed my heart to see him finally open up and reveal his true self. When he became aware of the intensity of my gaze, Edward gently looked away.
それじゃあ少し歩こうか。夜に見る庭園はかなり美しいんだ。
Considering our current location, would you be interested in taking a walk together? The garden is particularly stunning at night.
I saw! It was so pretty! The garden? It's probably too dark to see much, wouldn't you say? The garden, which I had noticed through the corridor windows before coming here, was completely shrouded in impenetrable darkness. But Edward, his hand outstretched with unwavering confidence, dispelled it with a reassuring gesture.
行ってみればわかるよ。
You'll see things differently when you see it for yourself. You'll be singing a different tune.
It's pretty! Oh, it's beautiful. A kind soul had preemptively lit the lamps, alleviating my concern as the soft glow illuminated the path. That's what gave him his confidence, I reckoned, having a look around. My word, this place is a complete metamorphosis from its earlier state.
I think it'd be pretty during the day too, but whatever, that's just me.
夜の庭は邸宅の自慢なんだ。以前はここで一晩中パーティーを開いていたみたいなんだよ。
The garden at nightfall is a source of immense pride for our manor. I have heard accounts of all-night festivities taking place here in the past.
Don't tell me you still do that, do you?
いろんな事情が重なってね。
Things haven't been quite the same.
Edward's voice, though laced with a hint of worry, carried a hopeful melody that I hadn't heard before.
お父さんが全快されたらまた始めようかと思う。
Perhaps I shall consider reviving the practice when my father regains his health.
I have full confidence that he will recover.
It depends on a lot of factors. I mean, this is, Regency era.
Lifting the candle stand beside me, I met Edward's warm smile, and we began our walk. The air hung heavy until we reached the fountain, where he finally broke the silence and spoke.
君も知っているだろうが、この邸宅では誰も僕に話しかけてくれない。
As you are aware, I am ostracized within these walls.
It probably has something to do with Mrs. Quiller's orders.
Yeah, do we get any information on that? Please, do clarify.
単に指針のためではない。クララ、僕は
This situation is far more complex than orders, Clara. I am... Well, you're hardly a beast in a castle, so, explain.
Edward's lips became a tight line, the subject still a thorny barrier to his voice. The candlelight flickered and danced in his hazy blue eyes, reflecting the turmoil within. Sensing his struggle, I reached out, a silent offering of comfort. Perhaps we can discuss this matter next time.
次はないかもしれない。
There may not be a next time.
He murmured in a voice trembling with unease. Startled, I yelped and flinched.
Kind of seems like an overreaction.
My focus had been solely on him, rendering me oblivious to the stone beak jutting out from the ground.
Oh! You trippin'? You tripped.
Acting swiftly, Edward wrapped his arms around me, but inadvertently dropped the candle stand.
And then they started a fire.
The shortened candle tumbled down, its flames sputtering and dying in the darkness.
Never mind, they're just stuck in the dark. That sucks. It's not unsurmountable, though. No big deal.
A moment of silence settled upon us before Edward cupped my cheek, his touch gentle and reassuring.
大丈夫?
Are you all right?
Yes, my lord, but the candlelights... With a heavy sigh escaping my lips, I felt the tension ease from Edward's embrace as he loosened his hold.
音がしたから人が来るだろう。部屋まで連れて行ってあげる。
The noise we created may attract unwanted attention. Let me escort you back to your chamber.
I assure you I'm all right. Please proceed ahead of me.
いや、僕が呼び出したのに、一人にさせるのはちょっとあれだよ。
I cannot in good conscience leave you alone, especially considering I am the one who requested your presence.
But I'm your servant.
どうせ戻るでしょ?
It's situated along the way anyway.
What do you mean? My room is on the opposite side to your... A piercing epiphany jolted me upright. You're returning to the mausoleum again? Edward inclined his head in a tepid acknowledgement.
眠れない日には時々そうするんだ。気分が良くなるんだよ。
Yes, I visit often on nights when slumber eludes me. It provides a sense of solace.
Even on a night as frigid as this? You'll surely fall ill if you remain awake all night.
さっきは寒くないって言ってなかった?
Did you not claim earlier that the temperature was mild?
It most certainly is now.
Is that supposed to be it most certainly is not?
Edward's lips twisted into a bemused smile, his surprise betraying him at my bold declaration. He shifted awkwardly, unable to meet my gaze, and glanced down at the floor.
仕方ないね.
Then I suppose I have no other choice.
His expression bore a curious mix of embarrassment and an inexplicable pleasure, as if he had never encountered such a feeling before. Astonishment washed over me as I witnessed this unfamiliar side of him, prompting me to turn my head away in surprise. The feeling was strange, a nebulous sensation that eluded comprehension. Cloaked in the presence of vigilance, I shadowed him as we made our way through the labyrinthine corridors, our destination, Edward's room.
Oh. Okay. I'm sure nothing untoward will occur.
He pivoted towards me, his eyes asking a silent question. Are you happy now? My hand instinctively reached for the doorknob. Edward's face contorted in bafflement as he restrained my hand.
男の部屋に入ってもいい?
Are you truly comfortable entering a man's chambers? Oh, they are going to address this. Okay. We'll see how this goes.
It's quite all right, sir. I've been in here countless times while cleaning.
Uh-huh. So you're both shy and oblivious a little bit. Okay, cool.
そうなんだ.
Oh, I see. I mean, he's aware of it.
Despite my answer, Edward's discomfort was palpable. He sought to hide his discomposure by burying his head in his hands, having sensed my concern for his vexation.
入ってもいいよ.
You may enter. Though his shyness was unnecessary, as is yours, Clara,
the tips of his ears betrayed a blush, their color vibrant against the paleness of his skin. If you'll pardon my intrusion, sir. Ooh. I pushed the door open and surveyed the room within. A pleasant surprise awaited me. Edward's room was meticulously tidy, a testament to the effort to maintain order despite their lack of interest in the actual owner of this room. I sauntered over to the wardrobe and casually selected a change of clothes. Edward, who had been stationed by the closed door, dashed towards me with surprising agility.
He's worried about his underwear drawer, huh?
クララ? 僕のクローゼットをなぜ?
Uh-huh, told ya. Clara, what purpose does my wardrobe serve?
It's for you to change into. Here is your nightshirt.
ああ。ありがとう.
Ah, I understand. Thank you.
Would you like assistance in changing into your nightshirt? I bet no.
His eyelids fluttered rapidly before widening in surprise.
The flush on his cheeks extended to the tip of his nose, a lingering effect of the cold, perhaps.
You gonna pretend you're oblivious, Clara? I mean, really?
いや、本当に大丈夫だよ。一人でもちゃんと着れるよ。
No, thank you. I'm capable of doing it myself.
I nodded respectfully, observing as Edward hastily snatched his nightshirt and shuffled away. He isn't a lady, I suppose. I decided to respect Edward's autonomous choice. Once he was changed, Edward informed me I was free to leave if I desired. However, I remained adamant. Adamant about what? A gnawing anxiety stirred within me as Edward, now lying on his bed, cast repeated glances towards the window. The mausoleum, his mother's final resting place, seemed to exert an undeniable pull on him.
Okay, so the ghosties are probably not related to the mom?
I intend to remain here until you fall asleep, so there's no point in persisting. With directness, I cut through the silence, and Edward responded with a grim nod.
クララ、僕は子供ではない。
Clara, I'm not a child.
And when have I ever treated you as such?
今がそうじゃない？
Right now, don't you think?
You are mistaken. Do you truly wish for a demonstration of what treating someone like a child is like?
No, I think you should probably refrain from doing that, Clara.
I took a seat on the edge of the bed and began to sing him lullaby, mimicking the soothing melody my mother had sung to me as a child. Edward paused, his brow furrowed in perplexity. What troubles you?
この歌、どこかで聞いたことがあると思う。
I believe I have heard this song somewhere before.
It's a popular lullaby. My mother used to sing it to me when I was troubled.
お母さんが。どんな方か聞いてもいい？
Your mother. May I ask as to her nature?
As long as you don't find it trivial, of course. My tales, for the most part, chronicled my mother's admonitions for my various mishaps. Despite my inability to fathom what he found so captivating about my mundane narratives, Edward steadfastly urged me to continue. My grumpy visage, drained of further stories, stared back at him. Why do you find the stories of my humiliation so amusing? Edward's hand darted out in a flurry of motion, a desperate attempt to undo the misunderstanding.
面白いんじゃなくて、不思議で、ウバは僕を知らなかったから。
It's not amusement I seek. I was simply curious, as my nanny never reprimanded me.
I dare say you never caused her trouble.
いや、そんなにいい子じゃなかったのに。
Though I wouldn't call myself a good boy. With that face, are you sure?
Well, judging by the peaceful way you lie on your bed, I'd say you are. With a playful glint in my eye, I reached out to poke his cheek, but he swiftly intercepted my hand.
本当にそう見えるの？
Do you really think that of me?
Pulled by a sudden force, I found myself struggling against the bedsheets.
Uh-oh.
The momentum threw me on top of him, as if I were to eat him alive.
Fun wording.
His eyes widened in surprise, clearly not anticipating this unexpected turn of events. Attempting to quell the frantic pounding in my chest, I parted my lips to utter a word. A shared reflex propelled us both upright, our eyes drawn to the imposing door as if by an invisible force.
And I don't know if you heard the sound, but there was a door knock. So, again, they're using sound effects, and it's nice.
A sudden recollection of the handbook sparked in my mind, prompting me to hesitantly address him. My lord, should we remain silent? Edward offered no response to my query. His face drained of color, as if he had committed some heinous act.
お母さんだ。
Mother.
I beg your pardon?
お母さんが僕を呼んでいる。
My mother is calling for me. Or the ghostie is his mom, and there was, weird stuff going on at this manor. I guess we'll find out eventually.
His words sparked confusion within me. What kind of mother would pound on her son's door like that? A grimace contorted his face at the sound of the renewed pummeling on the door.
お墓参りに行くたびに、君のことをたくさん考えているんだ。
When I visit the mausoleum these days, I find myself thinking of you even more.
The confusion in his eyes gradually faded, replaced by an untraversable darkness.
僕が悪いことをしたんだ。
I should not have. This is my fault.
You cannot truly believe that, can you? A familiar face surfaced from my mind, the face of the one who had taught me the rules. Was it Mrs. Quiller? Did Olivia Quiller claim that that was your mother? My gaze locked onto his hand as he grasped the necklace tightly around his neck. The red gem, which had been glinting in the moonlight, vanished into the shadows cast by his hand. A maelstrom of rage churned within me, threatening to erupt like a volcano. Never mind. I'll just prove to you it's not her. Even if it were the spirit of the lady of this house, I could not stand idly by and witness her torment her own son. With steely resolve, I rose to my feet, only to be abruptly pulled back down by the restraining force around my wrist. Edward had not released his hold on my hand, his grip unwavering.
やめてくれ。
Please don't. But my lord...
僕は大丈夫。ただ、もう寝たい。
I'm fine, Clara. I wish to sleep. Unable to resist, I yielded and settled back down on the edge of his bed. Edward's eyelids fluttered shut, the blue moon painting his face in a ghostly light. Keeping an eye on the door, I sang a soothing lullaby, my voice a gentle balm to his troubled spirit. As the last note faded into the quiet night, sleep descended upon him, offering a temporary haven from the chilling echoes of the door. The relentless pounding, unlike what Edward had said before, still haunted his sleep. Withdrawing my hand from his grasp, I rose slowly to my feet, each step a weighty echo in the stillness of the night. As I neared the door, its darkness seemed to beckon me closer. With a creak, the door yielded, letting in a flood of inky blackness. The corridors of the house, already barren in daylight, now appeared as hollow and desolate as a forgotten crypt. And I approve of the use of this green filter. It finally looks just a little bit like it's supposed to be eerie and stuff. The silence was absolute, broken only by the frantic rhythm of my heart. This was not the comforting refuge described in the pages of the handbook. It was a place of secrets and shadows, a place where hope struggled to survive. Then why? Why did Edward stop me from opening the door? Perhaps within the darkness, he conjured an image of his mother, a vision born of yearning and guilt. It was a fragile illusion, a spiderweb spun in the dead of night, ready to be shattered at the first touch of truth. The longer he held on to that illusion, the deeper he sank into the abyss of self-deception, leaving me to wonder if he would ever find the courage to confront the truth that awaited him outside the door. A deep sigh, laden with exhaustion and a sense of foreboding, escaped my lips. That is their favorite phrase. Sleep, yet again, would be an elusive visitor tonight, I thought to myself, closing the door behind me. And that was the end of chapter 3. So I've kind of got a little bit of a theory idea here. There's what Clara's feeding us, obviously, and it's all going to depend on whether they actually go the supernatural route, but it seems like they kind of are to some extent. There's something going on here when you've literally got shadows that everyone kind of acknowledges, and it's maybe not kept alive through Scooby-Doo logic. I mean, Scooby-Doo hasn't been debunked that there's, like, you know, people that are potentially helping whoever it is to just sort of be like, and then you just kind of hang around these corridors and you look creepy for a bit and everyone kind of wanders away, but then it's fine. But then we do have the knocking on the doors, and he thinks it's his mom, but there's definitely something up with Mrs. Quiller. Could be a case, like, it's not his fault that the 13 went missing, but it technically is if it's all because of the ghost. Maybe something happened to all those prior maids, and it's the ghosties that are responsible, and it's because it's all tied up with this family, so he's technically responsible, but it's really not his fault. But either way, there's some sort of curse shenanigan stuff going on. I don't know, the plot just keeps plotting, and I'm interested. So hopefully that was interesting, and thanks for watching. Bye!